went to pastry school so you don't have to, and today we are finally assembling the hardest dessert that we made in pastry school, the croquembouche. But before we get to assembling the cream puff tower that you all know and love, now that we have our fourth batch of caramel, we are going to start by sticking all the nougatine together. First, I heated up the center of the nougatine a little bit with the blowtorch, so that way when the hot caramel hits the nougatine, it doesn't cool immediately on contact. That's an important tidbit to reminder. I actually do forget later on in this process. Afterwards, I took a larger 8-inch circle and I'm sticking all of my nougatine triangle spikes on the outside with more caramel. I had some lighter and darker nougatine triangles, and honestly, I love how they perfectly alternated. Should I be planning out my bakes better? Absolutely, but I'm so glad that the pastry gods were on my side. Once the nougatine was done and cold, I continued to dip my shoe in the caramel, putting some in these little silicone molds to give the outside a nice shiny and domed appearance, and then some of the shoe I also dipped in this pearl sugar. I don't know what else you would think this is. Come on, guys. The pieces of pearl sugar from Amazon were a little bit too chunky, so I just crushed them up on my own. As I'm coating each of the shoe balls, I'm also lightly stirring the caramel every now and then, and also reheating it very, very slowly over the induction, so that way it keeps a nice fluid consistency. And now that we finally have enough shoe coated in caramel, we're going to take more caramel and finally start assembling our croquembouche. We're taking my small nougatine base and we're adding caramel to both the bottom and sides of one of the shoe balls, and we are sticking them on. Now, some people will build their croquembouches around a cone, either styrofoam or plastic. I asked my pastry chef about this and he laughed at me. The French would never, but real ones know that you have to freeform everything, so that's what we're doing. With each successive layer to build upwards, you're going to offset them a little bit slightly, and then you're going to also file the top with a microplane. This is so that all the layers of your croquembouche stay even and this whole piece stays really nice and uniform. Now, the last time I made a croquembouche was in pastry school, so I was having so much deja vu as I was building this. In hindsight, I wish that I chose cream puffs for each layer that were a little bit more regular in size. This way I didn't have to file down the tops of all of them as much as I did. This process took forever, and I had to be super careful the entire time to not also burn myself with the 300-degree molten caramel I was working with. But honestly, as we all know, unfortunately, practice makes perfect, and because this is my second time doing it, I found this process way easier than last time. She's finally coming together, and I'm super happy with how it's turning out, but there are a few more final touches I want to make.